Hey folks, in this video we're gonna go through the burger example from Udemy course. I've already gone through the whole course once. I'm in the process of revising to make a new and better portfolio out of it. This video is about Burger Basics number 4 after modal. Okay, so this is the current project run in the browser. As you can see here we rendered the image of the burger. We got a burger's top bread and bottom bread, and in between you can add different ingredients, multiple ingredients if you like, or you could remove ingredients. Okay, first thing you notice is if these ingredients haven't been added at all, then the last button is disabled. Another one to note is if not at least one of the ingredients has been added to the burger. If none of the ingredients are added, then the order now button is disabled. But as soon as you order some, like one meat, then you can order it. Inside this application, there are states that enable the interactivity of these controls. One is called Purchasable. It's purchasable if at least one of the ingredients has been added to the burger. If it is purchasable by adding at least one ingredient to the burger, if it's purchasable, then the order now button is enabled. And when you click on the order now button, it will set a state called purchasing to true. And if purchasing state is true, then it will render the backdrop, which is the dark background over here, with order summaries. In this case we only added one cheese and two buttons. When you click on cancel, it resets the purchasing to false. So if you press cancel, it will get rid of the order summary and the backdrop. Also, if you click on the backdrop, it will also set the purchasing to false, and then it has the same effect. And on this application at this stage, if you click on continue, it will just pop up a message. That's all it does for now. Okay, so let's go through the main container, which is Burger Builder. As I said, the state is purchasable if at least one ingredient was added to the burger, and the state purchasing is true if the order button was pressed, as I said. There are several callback functions defined inside this main container called Burger Builder. First one is update purchase state. Update purchase state sets purchasable to true if at least one ingredient was added to the burger. Otherwise it is false. Second one is add ingredient handler. Add ingredient handler increments by 1 the past ingredient type, updates total price, and updates the purchase state. So this is when you click on more, right? You click on more, you will update the ingredient amount. It will increment it by 1. It will also update the total price and the purchase state. Remove ingredient handler, decrements by 1 the past ingredient type, also updates the total price and the purchase state. So this is called when you press less button on the interface. Okay, so we've gone through add ingredient handler and the remove ingredient handler that will be attached to these less and more buttons respectively. The next is purchase handler. It sets purchasing to true. If you recall what I've just said, when we played around with this interface, when I press the order now button, it will set the purchasing to true, which will make the order summary and the backdrop visible. When you press cancel or click on the backdrop, it resets the purchasing to false. That's how it works. So you can guess purchase handler is attached to the order now button. Purchase cancel handler is attached to the cancel button and also the on click attribute of the backdrop, because if you click on the backdrop, it also sets purchasing to false and makes the backdrop invisible. Purchase continue handler, just in this case, after we order now, if you press on continue, it just alerts you with a message. It hasn't been implemented yet. And there's an object called disabled info. It has a value true or false for each ingredient. It's set to true if at least one of that ingredient has been added to the burger. If it is not added to the burger at all, then it is false. Disabled info is used so that if you haven't added that particular ingredient to the burger yet, then the less button is disabled. Yeah. Okay, this is what it renders. You can guess what the child components of the burger builder does. Well, sorry, what they do by looking at the props. What props are passed to the child component, right? These are props for each child component. Okay. In the comments, I elaborate on them. First, modal renders backdrop and order summary only if purchasing is true. Okay. This is set to true when order now button is pressed. We've gone through this. The effect of that is when cancel is pressed or mouse clicks on backdrop, they are hidden from view. This is controlled by purchasing state when it is set to false by these actions. Okay. Order summary displays a list of ordered ingredients and their amount, and displays cancel and continue buttons, where cancel button cancels an order and continue button goes to checkout. Of course, pressing on cancel makes backdrop and order summary invisible, again controlled by setting false the purchasing state. Burger renders the burger image with its constituents every time an ingredient is added or removed. Okay, that's when you press more or less, it updates the image of the burger accordingly. Bill controls renders current price, less and more buttons for each ingredient, and order now button. Current price and burger are re-rendered every time an ingredient is added or removed. Predictably, if you add an ingredient, it will update the current price. If you remove an ingredient, you also update the current price. Okay. Current price and burger are re-rendered every time an ingredient is added or removed. If the amount of ingredient is 0 or negative, then that less button is disabled. We've gone through this. If you remove all particular ingredient from the burger, then the less button is disabled. There's nothing to remove. Okay? If at least one ingredient was ordered or added to the burger, that's what it means. That's what I mean. Then it enables the order now button. This is controlled by the purchasable state. Otherwise, order now button is disabled while it is not purchasable. When order now button is clicked, it makes purchasing set to true, and this in turn makes modal visible. Okay, so we've gone through that one. How about the burger? I just made a note here. You got some complex thing going on here, and I made a comment about what it does. Okay, you can pause it now and have a read at what it does or what is written. Okay, so object.keys props ingredients gives array of the ingredients. What it is. Okay. Well, I'm not sure whether you can see this. The keys of the ingredient object are salad, bacon, cheese, and meat. Right? So it gives off array of those ingredients. Okay. And if, for example, salad's amount is 3, then it repeats. It gives off an array of the burger ingredient of the type salad 3 times. Okay, with a unique key for each. Alright, so if it was bacon and amount was 2, then you will return an array of burger ingredient of type bacon twice. Alright, and so on. Okay, so we end up with an array upon array of burger ingredients. So it's an array that contains arrays, and the reduce method just flattens the array. So the transformed ingredients contains burger ingredients for each type that is repeated for their amount, which are then rendered. If it's not purchasable, yeah. Yeah, if it's purchasable if at least one ingredient was added to the burger. Okay. So let's have a look. Yeah. So if nothing has been added to the burger other than the front, top and bottom bread, it would display please start adding ingredients instead. Okay. Remember, the purpose of burger.js is to render props ingredients into separate burger ingredients, which are then rendered as the image of the burger. Okay. So I'll show you in action. In the beginning, it displays this message, but once you add, I don't know, maybe 2 bacon and 3 cheese, you can see that each of these are divs with type bacon twice and cheese 3 times. So there are 5 divs here in between the bread. 2 are bacon and 3 are cheese. Okay, so there are 5 divs. Okay, so it's repeated for each type according to how many you added to the burger. I'll just show you. Yeah, so according to the type, it renders a div, and what makes it different is its class. So, for example, the meat div has the class name meat, so it is rendered differently. Okay. Okay. Now, lastly, the build control. Okay. So the build control renders just a second. Just a sec. Yeah, so it contains the current price. Okay. The build controls is basically this box over here. It displays the current price. It displays the label and less and more buttons for each ingredient. Okay, there are 4 ingredients, and the order now button. So these are the build controls. Okay, so you can guess what build control does by looking at its props, right? The label basically is the label name for each ingredient. Added is the callback for the more button. Remove is the callback for the last button. Disabled make sure that if no ingredient of that type has been added, then the last button should be disabled, as we've seen. And this button at the bottom, it just renders the order now button. And see here, it's if it's not purchasable, then disable it. Recall that it becomes purchasable if at least one ingredient has been added to the burger, right? And the on-click can guess it sets the purchasing to true so that the modal becomes visible. Okay, so this renders less and more buttons for each label and an order now button. So remember, the less buttons for each label will be disabled if its amount is less than or equal to 0. So that's to do with the disable props. Okay. I'll finish with just play around with this example for the last time. Okay, so every time you add an ingredient, it renders a ingredient. Just a second. Yep. It renders a burger ingredient component, which itself renders a div that's styled differently for each ingredient type. And if every time you press more, it replicates that div, right? In this case, how many divs are rendered, not counting the top and bottom bread? There are 3 divs. Two rendered as a salad, one as a bacon. Okay, so there are 3 divs, just rendered differently. Secondly, every time you add or remove an ingredient, current price is updated in real time. I've mentioned that if it is not purchasable, then order now button is disabled. If you add an ingredient, then it enables the order now button, and when you click on order now, it sets the purchasing to true. And as long as purchasing state is true, it displays the backdrop and the order summary. But once you click on cancel, it resets the purchasing to false, and that removes it from view. Okay, and we haven't implemented the continue callback yet. Just alert message for now. Okay, thank you very much, and I hope this is very useful for revision.